All right, guys, what's up? It's Jack, and welcome back to another discussion. And in this long discussion, I've got obviously, if you can see by the title, there's a lot that I want to get into in this one. And it's always a pleasure to have this conversation. And granted, I'm always up this late and/or early at night or morning, I should say. Um, Might as well have some gameplay of some kind in the background and talk about the subjects at hand because we got a lot of subjects to talk about today. And it's something that I've been thinking about doing for quite a while now in terms of talking about all this. But there's also been a lot of news that has been coming up regarding the subjects posted above, and there's been a lot of things that have been going on over the last week. So, um, with that being said, it is time for yet another discussion. So, first of all, and I'm gonna take a swig of my water here in just a second. But first of all, with XDefiant, Mark Rubin has gone on Twitter and he has basically updated us because it's been kind of radio silent, so to speak, ever since the closed beta has been offline. Excuse me, ever since the open beta has been offline, so to speak. And what's been happening is that basically the team has been hard at work, and basically they're still saying that they're on track and on schedule with everything that they've been talking about in terms of releasing later this summer. Now, in terms of what I think the release date is going to be, honestly, well, obviously Mark Rubin said that a couple of things obviously are going to take a little bit of time in terms of what they're trying to go for. However, I wouldn't be surprised if the game releases sometime in August. Who knows? Maybe even sooner. You never know. But I wouldn't be surprised if the game actually releases in at some point in August. Because September 1st would mark the end of summer, and they said somewhere towards the end of summer. So we're talking about anywhere from now up until September 1st. So if you are a classic arcade first-person shooter fan, if you are a fan of XDefiant, if you are a fan of the classic Call of Duty without all the BS, then I would say, well, but obviously not entirely a cut and paste Call of Duty, but it would remind you enough of it, right? So ultimately, it is going to be something that is up your alley, and you should definitely keep an eye out for it. However, he also stated that the game itself would obviously release on Xbox Series X and S, PS5, and on PC as of right now. And then sometime later, we're going to have the consoles. Now, I know I'm being a little bit over optimistic about this, and it could be true. I'm not expecting myself to I'm not expecting this to happen, but it still could happen in my opinion. But I honestly think that there still is a chance that the game itself may release on every console, including last gen, which is something they're planning on releasing for later. But I wouldn't be surprised that if last gen ended up being kind of like a surprise announcement to where, hey, we got caught up and everything like that, and we decided to release everything together. So I wouldn't be surprised. Again, this is actually unlikely. I think it's a higher probability that the game gets shadow dropped than obviously the consoles releasing at the same time as the current gens, or the last gen consoles releasing at the same time as the current gen. But at the same time, you never know, because the way I look at it is like 60 frames is what the current gen has to offer. Excuse me, the last gen, and then obviously we got 120 for the current gen. So it's like, well, we kind of tested 60 frames with the closed beta. So it's like, well, technically speaking, you put that together. It's like, maybe, maybe they already have all the data they need, and maybe it's just, maybe they kind of left it for a surprise. Who knows? Because obviously audiences love being surprised, and at the same time, it'll make them look really good for launch, right? It'll make them really good for launch. It'll gain that much more trust and love from the community. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. And I'll say it until I'm blue in the face, like the logo that you see in the thumbnail, so to speak, right? I will say it until I'm blue in the face, and that is that I am in full support of the last gen consoles getting their version of XDefiant out as soon as possible. Now, obviously, we want it to perform very well, but I want it to be out as soon as possible. Now, I know that there are other people out there that'll say, well, the last gen consoles are only going to slow things down, yada yada yada, and and to some extent that might be true. However, with that being said, you got to think about the community as a whole. You can't just think about yourself. And in the world in 2023, I know that's easier said than done because, if you take a look at the world around you, it's, and I don't want to sound pessimistic by any means, but if you look at the world around you, well, especially in the gaming scene, a lot of gamers are not, they only care about what they care about, and that's that, right? But for me, in this case, I am not one of them. In this case, I want the last gen console players to be able to experience the game in all its glory at 60 frames per second. And at the same time, 60 frames per second is like some of the best Call of Duty games in the world throughout history have been made at 60 frames per second. And I've asked this before and I'll ask it again. Like, would you rather have a 60 frames per second experience with a game that's got no skill-based matchmaking and all the bells and whistles with the developers that actually listen, or would you rather have a game that can go, like, let's say up to like 4K or 1440p at 120 frames, but you got skill-based matchmaking, you got engagement optimization matchmaking, and you get nothing but the devs ignoring you, basically nothing but crickets? Which experience would you rather have? And I think I speak for the majority of people when I say that what's more important is that the devs listen. Well, the 60 frames per second is probably what they would pick. And I actually asked that to my chat last time when I went and played Halo, as opposed to doing a conversation. So that's pretty much all the XDefiant news there really is this week. And again, I think as the coming weeks, and within the next coming weeks, we're either going to get a shadow drop or some sort of release date update. You know what I mean? So again, I can't help but think that they're going to shadow drop it. So, and if that's true, oh man, that's the kind of feedback I'm going to get from people that watch my channel about that is going to be absolutely amazing. So I can't wait. But with that being said, we've got a whole lot of other things to talk about because there's something else that I've been wanting to talk about on stream, and whoever wants to watch or listen afterwards, later in the day or whenever it is when they go to the live tap. Well, let's be real here for a minute. Well, speaking of which, I actually forgot to tweet the stream out. So let me tweet the stream out real quick on Twitter before I continue with this conversation, because this one's going to be a mouthful, so to speak. Let's see. Paste. All right. So where are you? Okay. So the next topic I want to talk about is the next Halo, right? The next Halo is the next topic that I really, really want to get into, because at this point, my intermission screen is up. That's weird. Shouldn't be up there. It won't be too long. I think it'll only be like a few seconds. But anyway, going back on topic here, before the gameplay will go back on. It should be on any minute. Halo, we are in a new era now when it comes to Halo. We are about to enter a new era. It is yet the end of another era when it comes to Halo now. And what do I mean by this exactly? Well, it's a brand new era for Halo because as of recently, Microsoft has gotten rid of 100 employees from 343. And as you guys know, as of a few months ago, what ended up happening was there were the heads of 343 in the name of, obviously Barney. I almost said Barney. Bonnie Ross, Frank O'Connor, and what was it? And Kiki Wolfkill, that were basically in the that were the heads of the company. Bonnie Ross being the main one, but those were the guys that ran things overall. The top three. And basically those guys haven't been there for months. The gentleman that is resurrected, so to speak, the Master Chief Collection, because as you guys know, back in 2014, when the Master Chief Collection was released, it didn't work. You couldn't find multiplayer games. Some of the other things didn't function properly. It was one of the biggest disasters in gaming history, actually. It was actually labeled that, which is quite sad, though, because Halo, all in all, is... how do I put this? Halo is one of those games that just deserves better, right? A lot of things started out because of Halo. So where are we today? Well, we're at a rebuild phase. 343 is in the middle of hiring people now. So the only thing that I could say is that Microsoft and 343 really needs to do a couple things. Number one, they need to hire the right people for the right job, first and foremost, right? You got to put the right pieces in the right place if you want everybody to how do I put this? If you want the product to end up, where the product is supposed to be. So ultimately, what's going to happen is, you got to hire the right people, and on top of that, you can't have them be around as contractors for only a year and a half. That's just nothing but pure disaster for your company and for your game. You have to have consistency, and not only do you have to have consistency, but you have to, like, once these guys get into a game, right? Once these guys start developing a game, they have to learn the infrastructure, right? They have to learn everything, right? In terms of how with the engine and stuff like that, they have to learn that, and that takes a long time. As far as I understand, that takes months. Cheers to your health, by the way. I'll take a swig of my water. Okay, so what's going to happen with Halo? Well, here's what I think is going to happen with Halo. Now, we know for a fact that Project Tatanka, aka the upcoming battle royale that has kind of been, in terms of a few files, been leaked. We know that is on its way, and it's no secret. They have all but announced it officially, right? But we know it's coming. It's a battle royale for Halo, and it's going to do great for the whole Halo scene in general, right? Because the Halo needs the popularity. The Halo is perfect for a battle royale, right? Right? I think we can all agree that whether you want a Halo battle royale or not, because of everything that's within the Halo sandbox, right? The in terms of the weapons that you can use, and not just the weapons, but the weapons, it's on the tip of my tongue, the vehicles, the way the maps are designed, everything like that. I mean, it's not really something you can ignore, right? You really can't ignore the fact that Halo, also because of its sci-fi nature, is just perfect for battle royale. Now, I'm not necessarily suggesting something like advanced movement necessarily, but what I'm saying is that Halo itself has the most potential to make an absolutely legendary battle royale, and this is coming from a player that doesn't even play battle royale. I do not, excuse me, I burped there for a second. I do not play battle royales. They're not my cup of tea, although I respect the genre. And for me personally, I would not mind watching other Halo players play battle royale. I would not mind, seeing how it develops. And I think it's gonna be really great for the franchise in general. I think it's the medicine that the franchise needs, to be quite frank. And ultimately, at the end of the day, we know that it's not 343 that's developing it. As a matter of fact, it's a different company that's developing it. So, and it's, again, while 343 focuses on the 3-month updates in seasons with Halo Infinite, and also I also saw a video very recently. I think it was by Mint Blitz, and he basically was talking about how Master Chief Collection, after all this time of 9 months or so, excuse me, is actually getting an update, which is great. I think the one thing that I personally want with the Master Chief Collection more than anything else at this point is I want what's it called? What is it? I want button mapping just like it is in Halo Infinite. Like any button on your controller, you can map to do whatever it is that you need to in terms of actions on there, just like in Halo Infinite. And just like Fortnite, just like Apex Legends, just like Overwatch. Some of these games absolutely do this. So it's like, why can't Halo Master Chief Collection, especially since Infinite's doing it? So it's like, why can't why can't Halo Master Chief Collection do this? That's my biggest thing. And as far as anything else concerned, really, with Master Chief Collection, I mean, I play it whenever I'm in the mood for it every once in a while. I mean, I'm sure that if I was really in the mood for it, I could grind it. But believe it or not, like the last time I actually played the Master Chief Collection was not too long ago, actually. And I realized how freaking strong the aim assist is. And I was like, wow, okay, it's definitely strong, that's for sure. And I definitely agree with when I heard Halo players say that that Halo Infinite's aim assist has been lowered, which is actually a very good thing. I actually think it's very good. For a Halo game, I think it is where it needs to be. So, I mean, we'll see in terms of what kind of changes they do with that. But I'm really excited to see what the Master Chief Collection is going to do. But with that being said, Halo Infinite Obviously had the rough launch that it did. Right now, actually, Halo Infinite at this point with Season 4, it pretty much feels like a complete game. Season 5 is rumored to have a, what's it called? To have Firefight. Firefight's going to be like the major thing in the next season or whatnot. So I think we can all look forward to that. But with that being said, I really am excited and optimistic about the next Halo game that they're going to make. The only thing that I would request at this point is, number one, I do not want it to be a third-person shooter, because they're looking for a person that is that has experience on the matter in terms of, you know, the first-person shooter genre, but also third-person shooter. But I don't necessarily think that it may be anything like I don't think they're going to make it into a third-person shooter. Although if they're thinking about it, I would humbly request that they do not do it. That's probably the most selfish request I can make at this point, is like, do not make Halo into a third-person shooter, please. I don't know if they're planning on doing that with the Battle Royale. I don't know. I think it should be a first-person shooter. I think the vast majority of the Battle Royales are first-person shooters as well. You know, the only one that isn't, I believe, is Fortnite. All the other ones, are the major ones at least, are first-person shooters. So I think it's safe to say that the Battle Royale is going to be a first-person shooter, but please do not make the next Halo game or the reboot or whatever, because they're talking about, you know, doing a complete reboot. So it's like, well, please do not make the next Halo game a third-person shooter. Please, you know, you can, you know, if you're going to reboot it, you got to do it in a different way. Don't do it like this. Don't do it like, you know, to where you're going to change it from a first-person shooter to a third-person shooter. Please do not. And I say that with all respect. You know, I don't, I have nothing personal against third-person shooters. They're just not my cup of tea. And the thing is, I have grown up playing Halo, right? And this is where the meat and potatoes of the discussion are going to come in, because we're going to be talking about possible directions that they could take. And we're also going to be looking at, to a certain extent, like my history with Halo, because I have been around since the beginning, in terms of playing Halo. Now, not like the very beginning in terms of 2001, because I didn't get an Xbox until 2003. And when that happened, obviously Halo was my game that I got, right? So I genuinely am curious in terms of, well, okay, let's start at the beginning, right? When people were linking their Xboxes together, I was there and I was doing it. It was a weekly thing from my friends that we did every single week. And you can rest assured that we enjoyed it, and we did it a lot, right? So, and then in 2004, when Halo 2 came out, Xbox Live released on the same day, if I'm not mistaken. And after that, it was on. Like, it was going to be such an amazing experience to actually have that experience 7 days a week, as if I was playing in Link. Now, obviously, playing System Link is better than playing online, but now that we had the option to play online and to get a near, you know, System Link experience, was something that was just so huge back in 2004. It was huge. And another thing I remember is in 2004, another movie came out. There was a movie that came out called Spider-Man 2, which is, by the way, one of the greatest Marvel movies ever made. I know it's old, and for those of you youngsters, I know it's old, but let me tell you, even today, if you watch Spider-Man 2, it is, it's a gem of a movie. It is so relatable. It hits all the right notes. It is just an absolute gem of a movie. Every single thing about Spider-Man 2, in terms of the script, the villain, the hero, the story, like everything was so good. And I saw it on midnight release, right? And that movie made a shit ton of money, right? However, even though that movie made a ton of money, Halo 2, when it came out, it made more money than Spider-Man 2, and it did it within like a day or two, as opposed to what it would take, you know, maybe it would take a week or so, or maybe even more, for Spider-Man to make. And that says a lot, because not only is Spider-Man one of the most popular superheroes in film and comic book history, and as well as popularity, but to have this game, Halo 2, which is much newer compared to Spider-Man, because Spider-Man is very well known. And even though Halo was known, but it was just in the gaming, but everybody in the world knew what Spider-Man was. But back in the day, not everybody knew what Halo was, right? Only the gamers did. And for that game to surpass what it did in just 24 hours and then in 48 hours, it made headlines. It was huge. And I didn't get it until the very next day. I didn't go on the midnight release because I couldn't. So I had it the next day. I literally got it the next day, and it was like absolutely like in terms of what I heard on the news or what I saw on the news in terms of what the game was able to accomplish. First of all, I was actually very happy for the game and the developers and for the amount of success that the game would have. But even more importantly, so I was just surprised, like legitimately surprised, and I couldn't wait to go home and to play it online. Granted, we obviously we followed the weekly tradition of playing it normally the way we always played it. But now all of a sudden, if I wanted to get better, I could. If I wanted to practice, I could, and I could play whenever I want. I didn't have to wait until Mondays in order to hang out with my friends in order to play it. I had access to it for as much as I wanted, for as long as I wanted, whenever I wanted, right? And back in 2004, having that option was absolutely sweet. It was, I can't explain to you in words how amazing that was, right? So, so basically, when Bungie's final game, Halo Reach, right? They made Halo 1, which was Combat Evolved, Halo 2, Halo 3, Halo 3 ODST, and then Halo Reach, right? By the time Halo Reach released, it was Bungie's swan song. It was their last game that they ever created for Halo in the Halo universe. And it was a damn good one. And it was a game that was, oh my gosh, full of content. You had your campaign, which you could also you could do it online in co-op. You could split screen co-op it. You could do it however you wanted, right? Everything was functional, right? Everything was absolutely functional in the game when it released. Okay, so let's break it down. You had a progression system that made prestiging, that dwarfed prestiging. It was like the equivalent of trying to get to level 1000, if not more, right? To make it to Inheritor and Halo Reach was a hell of a grind that would take a long ass time to do. You had to be severely dedicated in order to reach that high. But anyway, let's continue on. So you had the progression system and unlocks and all that other shit, right? Okay, cool. Now, you had your campaign, which you could, again, solo, co-op, whatever, split screen, local, on LAN, whatever. You could do that. You could play the multiplayer. You could play Firefight. Theater mode was there. Forge was there. Okay? So, and on top of that, the game kind of innovated a little bit by adding in abilities, but without breaking the game. You had to choose between one of 5 abilities. One of them was sprint, another one was a jetpack, the other one was armor lock, and then another one I believe was cloak, if I'm not mistaken, something like that. And there was one more that I can't think of right now at the top of my head. I think I mentioned jetpack. So yeah, you basically maybe it was a speed boost. I don't remember, to be honest. Oh yeah, you could create duplicates of yourself that weren't real. It was the hologram ability. There we go. So you had to choose between one of those 5, and then that was it. There was no create a class or anything like that, really. That was it. It also introduced Bloom into the game, which I was never crazy about, and neither were other players, especially pros. And then they were able to disable it for the pros, but I'm sad that they never did that in the regular multiplayer. But at the same time, I didn't know of it. I mean, I knew there was something wrong, but I just didn't know of it. But anyway, so Bungie literally gave the player base everything and then some when they released Halo Reach, right? It was their swan song. It was the goodbye. And I, for one, am very grateful for what they did with that, because I had grown up, so to speak, playing Halo multiplayer, and Halo wasn't the main multiplayer game that I would play. And for them to kind of, it was a bittersweet moment. You knew it was Bungie's last, but in a lot of ways, it was almost like their greatest. I don't know. I don't know how else to put it. Halo Reach was an amazing accomplishment, and it came out like 2 years after Halo 3, maybe 3 years later. I'm not sure, but they also had Halo 3 ODST. So the developers at Bungie were busy, man. It's like they gave us so much in just 2 to 3 years. which is comparable to some of the most content filled first person shooters that we get today. I would probably even say it even surpasses it. So it's like incredible, right? Okay, so now with all that being said, where are we at today, right? What happened afterwards, right? It was the end of an era after Bungie was done with Halo, right? It was the end of an era. What happened afterwards? Well, we had 343 take over the reins, and in Halo 4, I don't consider Halo 4 a bad game. Some people might consider Halo 4 a bad game. I am not one of these people. I am going to say that now, and I will not back out on what my opinion is on that. So, Halo 4 was an awesome game. I like the differences. I thought it was a breath of fresh air, and at the same time, it still played like Halo. It wasn't a game that tried to be something else, because at its foundation, it was exactly what it was supposed to be, and that's Halo. They added in some elements from Call of Duty, but it didn't, in my opinion, it didn't break the game. It wasn't necessarily the worst move in the world. It really wasn't, in my humble opinion. But and also, not only that, like, a lot of people at the time also were really very much embracing it. So I don't know exactly when the hate for Halo 4 actually started, to be honest with you. I do not know. But all I know is that when it did come out, I enjoyed it. And again, I was never, a good Halo player. The only time I started actually getting better with Halo was like when I decided to dedicate a lot of my time and hit Halo 5. And then obviously when I played like for nearly a year straight with Halo Infinite. And it's right now, until XDefiant comes out, it's the game that I'm going to be playing. The game, this is old gameplay you're seeing in the background, so I'm just kind of using it or whatnot. But again, I thoroughly enjoy it, despite its problems and a few things that still need to be fixed, if they even can be fixed. But with that being said, 343 took over in Halo 4, and overall it was good. The campaign was good, and the multiplayer among the fans was mediocre, right? The fans thought it was mediocre, but I thought it was good, but whatever. I didn't think they should have. I didn't think it was the right move for them to replace Firefight, but it is what it is. But with that being said, I was very happy with Halo 4. Now, when Halo 5 came out, there were a few things that were definitely missing. Like Forge wasn't on launch, which I personally don't care about Forge, but I know that a lot of the not the competitive, but like a lot of the community in general did. But we got all DLC for free in Halo 5, which was like the first of multiplayer games that would do that in 2015, where everybody was basically selling DLC packs pretty much in every multiplayer shooter. So Halo 5 actually did everything for free in terms of post launch content. And obviously Forge would be there, custom game browser would be there as well, which would be a big thing. And ultimately, at the end of the day, from a competitive standpoint, multiplayer standpoint, the game was solid. However, with that being said, there was also the campaign was a mess. There's like the worst campaign in Halo ever. And both from a story standpoint as well as a gameplay standpoint, there was a lot of repetitiveness, and it wasn't up to par with all the other Halo games that have come out as well. So that's another thing. And with the story, it's like, what the hell are you doing? That you deceive people with the marketing, and at the same time, it just wasn't what it was. It wasn't what it was marketed to be, and it kind of just ended, so to speak, right? So, and obviously in Halo Infinite, it's really hard to kind of pick up from where Halo 4 came from, or what Halo 5 came from. So it's like Halo Infinite from a story perspective is like WTF, but at the same time, from a gameplay perspective, it gave you a lot of Halo 1 vibes, along with a kind of an open world type of vibe to it. So all in all, again, gameplay matters the most, obviously, in my humble opinion. But with a lore that's as rich as Halo's, with a story that's as rich as Halo's, they're actually pretty even. They both matter. They're both even, right? They're both equally important. The story in Halo is just as important as the gameplay as far as campaign is concerned. So that's something you really can't miss. So now that Halo Infinite's been released and the multiplayer continues to get support, and we're at a point to where things are going to be supported pretty much like they were in the Master Chief Collection, and the Master Chief Collection is getting an update. Now here's the big kicker. where do we go with Halo 5? Now that I'm sorry, with the next Halo. Because now that it's going to get a seemingly reboot, it's like, okay, how are they going to reboot it exactly? Are they going to boot it like in every single way possible? Like, are we talking about like a retelling of the entire story, or are we talking about a continuation but just different? Obviously, it's going to be an Unreal Engine 5. That much we do know. Like, but in terms of the lore and in terms of what they might do with the gameplay, it's something that's important that needs to be discussed, because Halo is known for being Halo because of the way it plays, right? Like, when people think Halo, what do you think of when you think Halo multiplayer? You're thinking about that. What's up, Austin? How are you? What? You're thinking about. What was your question, my friend? You said, wait, what about what? What was your question? Let's catch you up over here if you're, if there's something that you're wondering about. Halo is basically getting rebooted at this point. Oh, you're confused? Okay. Well, I was talking about XDefiant originally, and now we're talking about the next Halo, because they recently what's it called? Let go of they recently let go of what's it called, like 90 plus, nearly 100 employees from 343, and they're basically rebuilding, right? So they're going to hire new people and stuff like that. So we talked about that, but now we're basically at a point to where, like, I kind of went over like a little bit of my Halo history and just Halo in general, but then yeah, but then it's like, okay, like, in terms of Halo, right? Like, what direction do you think? While you're here, I might as well ask you, right? I might as well ask your opinion, because it's always been something that I've been wondering. So, what, in terms of what the community thinks, what do you think they should do in terms of the gameplay and the story as well? Like, do you think they should retell it like all over, or like in terms of what we got with the original Halos? Like, do you think it should be a retelling of that story? Or do you think they need to do something completely new? Just reboot it like 100%. Like, don't bring anything back from the past. And on top of that, what do you do with the game? Because Halo is known for having its, a certain time to kill, the floaty jumps, the sandbox, the way the weapons work, and all that kind of stuff. Halo is known for having that, right? You say anything, you say Halo to any FPS guy, they're gonna be like, that's pretty much what they're gonna be thinking. So it's like, do you think that they should just like even change how the gameplay works to the point to where it doesn't play like it plays now? Or do you think they should just refine it in a sense? Because Halo Infinite, despite its problems, it's actually a great it feels great. It's very solid. It feels terrific. It's probably the best feeling Halo ever. Like, it's good. So so it's like, what do they do? Do they reboot 100%, or do they kind of, give us like a hybrid game or something like that? Because a lot of people are saying, oh, Halo's gameplay is dated. Well, if you're saying Halo's gameplay is dated, then that means Call of Duty's gameplay is dated, right? I mean, CSGO is dated, but look, it's got so much. All right, here we go. Austin says, almost like a reboot, like how COD is for Modern Warfare 2, and multiplayer should be floaty, and a reboot, like I think it should start moving into a movement almost, since it's in the future. Well, we kind of already had advanced movement in Halo 5, and we had it a little bit in Halo 4 as well. I don't know if the community, whether it's good players or not, I don't know if the community is going to respond well to that. I think one of the reasons a game like Titanfall didn't succeed very well was because of the advanced movement. I mean, ultimately, if Call of Duty was going to succeed from advanced movement, they would have kept up with it. So, I 100% agree with you, Austin. You and I are on the same team on this. I want a skill gap as well. Trust me when I tell you, we need a skill gap. I am 100% in agreement with you. But remember, you and I are in the minority. I hate to say it, but it's factual. You and I are the minority of the players. Most players are casual. They don't, they don't play like we do, or they don't see games like we do, or take it seriously. It's also releasing during the new COD, so that's kind of why Titanfall failed. Yeah, to a certain extent, yes. But also, it's like, I think it was, honestly, I think it's also the advanced movement, and I think it's also the fact that Titanfall was trying to be a lot in one shot maybe. But I will always defend Titanfall. I will say this again until I'm blue in the face. I think Titanfall 2, specifically Titanfall 2, is one of the best first-person shooters ever created, in my opinion. It's brilliant. It's brilliant from its smoothness, from its movement, from the mechanics of pilots as well as the Titans. I would have personally done Titans a little bit differently, but that's just personal preference as opposed to what should or shouldn't be done. So that's that can't really count that as anything bad. But ultimately, I think Titanfall 2 is one of the best first person shooters ever created. Period. But the tricky part is, and I was having a lot of thoughts about this yesterday, and that is like, what direction do they go in with the gameplay? Like, what do they change? What do you do? Halo shouldn't be known for movement, but memories and how it just overall felt. I mean, yeah, Halo does feel good, but and it's already kind of rumored or leaked to be running in Unreal Engine 5. So the next, obviously, the Battle Royale is going to be running on Engine 5, and the next Halo is probably going to be made under Unreal Engine 5. Because I heard that the Flip Space engine is kind of the reason why Halo Infinite kind of got the shaft, so to speak, in terms of the desync or whatnot. I mean, granted, there could be other things that are involved as well, but I think that's part of the reason why it got the desync issue. So, because everything else about the game just feels awesome. I think Halo Infinite is one of the best arena shooters you could play, honestly, and from a feeling perspective, it feels awesome. But what direction do we go in though? Like, what would you do? Like, let's say you had the power in your hands, right? Let's say you had the budget in your hands and the power in your hands, and it was all under your direction. What would you do with the next Halo? You had all the developers right there. You put all the pieces in the right spot. What would you do? Like, it's a tough question to answer because it's like you got to figure out how to appease everybody, right? Which is difficult to do. It needs almost an update because I really don't think it changed. I would add more movement, but keep it kind of same for multiplayer. Do you think we also need more weapons? Like, do you think we need even more? Like, for instance, how we have the battle rifle and the bandit for precision weapons, right? Do you think we need more options in terms of precision weapons as well as automatic weapons, sniper rifles, and stuff like that? Do you think that we also just need more of what we have already in terms of weapons, in terms of stuff like that, or do you think that it's fine the way it is? Do you think that less is more when it comes to weapons for a game like Halo, or do you think it could use more? And also, while I have you here, what did you think about Halo 4? Like, did you like it or did you not like it? Let's see, what does it say here? For campaign, in my opinion, almost every rev map, and please, more weapons. They could do such cool weapons. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it is science fiction after all, isn't it? So if you have a science fiction setting, you can do some pretty cool shit. I could agree with you on that. 100%. 100% I agree with you. 100%. Yeah. Delicious water. The campaign I just got stuck on because of the giant bug with the rover mission. Oh, okay. Yeah. Halo 4, by the way. Okay. But what did you think about the multiplayer for Halo 4? Because somewhere down the line, for some reason, a lot of people started hating it. I personally didn't hate it at all. I thought it was good. It didn't bother me that they added in a few things from Call of Duty because ultimately the game still played like Halo. It didn't play like COD. I mean, if anything, it benefited from it because it would reward the player, in my opinion. So I thought that was cool, and in a way, it kind of widened the skill gap because the players that would do better in match were the ones that would get more ordnance or whatnot, which was basically the streaks. And the creative class was fine. Felt great, and I felt as if there was some skill defining elements. Yep, I agree. I agree. And that game looked great. The game looked great when it came out. Like it really, like you could tell, man, it really just pushed the Xbox 360 to its limits. When you look at that game's graphics and shit, that game looked excellent. And the campaign was good. I thought the campaign was good. And one more little addition is I think Cortana looked the best in Halo 4. Out of every other Halo that we saw, Cortana, she looked the best in Halo 4, in my humble opinion. That was like the best version of Cortana that we had, in my opinion. So, let's see what else. What else did I like? Also, have you been keeping up with the Activision Blizzard news? What do you think about? What are you thinking about that? Like, I personally think the only way that Call of Duty will change, like at all, for the better, is if this deal goes through. That's what I think. That's my opinion on the matter. Like, if the deal goes through, then I think, you know, I think it'll change Call of Duty for the better. And for the workplace environment as well. And for a while there, I thought that it was dead in the water, but because of this trial that's been going on this week, and we could be getting news about that. So I feel that COD needs changes. It's 2023. We need more advancements. Now, here's a question that I have, and I'm glad that somebody's in the chat for this. So, Austin, I really want to know your thoughts and opinions on this. So, obviously, are you? First of all, I'm going to ask you: Are you aware? Are you aware of the whole engagement optimization matchmaking algorithm shit, algorithm BS that's in Call of Duty games nowadays? Are you aware of that? Okay. So here's the question that I have, right? I mean, I see people like on social media and stuff like that. They're like, "Oh, I can't wait for Treyarch's next game and stuff like that." In my mind, I'm like, in my mind, I keep saying to myself, "Why?" Because it's still going to have engagement optimization matchmaking in it, which is going to ruin the experience. Again, I'm not even talking about skill-based matchmaking. Again, I'm talking about engagement optimization matchmaking. The stuff that rigs the game. So it's like, why do you think? Yeah. Why do you think people still support COD despite all this BS? Like, how can people keep saying like it's gonna be the greatest thing ever and blah blah blah? Because it's like, but yeah, it's like being good is an issue because of the memories. Yeah. Okay. So you think people are just wanting nostalgia? You think people are just living off the memories and they just want a brand new COD or something, and the impact it had on gaming? Well, yeah, I mean, it did have an impact, sure, but it's like, but obviously, when you look at the kind of impact it's having now, so to speak, right? It's like, how can somebody keep supporting it? That's my question. Because of everything that, like, the games haven't been good. Cold War would have been really good if they changed a couple of things. Like, obviously, removing the engagement optimization matchmaking is one thing, and changing the streak system is another thing. Um, from a financial standpoint, yes, Warzone is definitely carrying from a financial standpoint, but I think so is mobile. Like, I think where did I hear this? I saw this on the video somewhere. 70% of the player base is on mobile. They're playing COD Mobile. They're not even playing the new stuff. Like, that's the thing. Like, they're playing the mobile game. They're playing the classic COD. That's what they're playing. They're not playing the new stuff. And then after that, you got the majority of people that are playing on PlayStation 5, and then you got PC, and then you got the Xbox in third. So it's like, when I found out that information, I'm like, wow. So people are actually playing and enjoying COD Mobile. From an entertainment standpoint, it makes sense because it's classic COD, and it's simple, and it's on mobile. Mobile is the most reliable because mobile is what most people have. Yep, 100%. See, this is why Microsoft wants to acquire Activision Blizzard. also, is because it will be really good, because Microsoft's vision is what they want to do is they want to take they want everybody to play regardless of whatever platform you're on, right? Like they don't care what platform you're on or what TV you're using or whatnot. It's like, hey, with us you can play. So Halo should not go mobile. Yeah, no, it should not. But you never know, it might. You never know, it just might, because again, if it's profitable, you know they're going to do it. You know they're going to do it, whether it's good or not. What's up, Psycho Killer Clown? I haven't seen you in a while. How are you doing, my friend? Hope you've been well. So, but are both of you guys excited for XDefiant? That's another thing I want to ask. Like, you guys all good for XDefiant? I'm doing good, my friend. Thank you. I just got back from playing pool. I call it putting balls in holes, but I just got back from playing pool, so I had a good time with that. And of course, there were some pretty women there as well, so it's always good to see. That's my favorite. It's always a lot more fun when you see pretty women when you're playing pool. And Austin looks like he's definitely excited for XDefiant, so that's good. I think they're going to shadow drop it, man. I'm telling you. Thank you for the likes, by the way, guys. I think they're going to shadow drop it. It's going to be the end of COD. I don't know if look, I don't think it's going to be a COD killer, but I will say this though, Austin. I will say this. You ready? One thing I will say is that I think it's going to cause a shift in terms of how games are being developed, but in a good way, because these guys are going to be leading the way, because they're being super transparent with their audience and they're giving us what we want and they're communicating with us. So I think what it's going to do is it's going to cause a shift in gaming. Like, I think it's going to change in terms of how people develop the game and how they communicate with their audience for the better. And these guys are going to be leading by example. So, and I'm telling you, man, I think it's going to shadow drop. I'm telling you, out of nowhere, it's going to come out and be like, hey, oh, I forgot. Mark Rubin's going to be like on Twitter, he's going to be like, oh, I'm sorry, guys, I forgot to mention, the game's out now. Feel free to download. Thank you for your support. Keep giving us feedback, and we love you. So like, COD is so big, they don't listen to the community. Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. But here's the thing though. Can you imagine if XDefiant, were to grow, right? After like its first year, it grew and the player base got bigger and stuff like that. And obviously the game has more content because a year has gone by. But imagine if these guys actually grow in a similar way that Call of Duty did. And then all of a sudden they have a lot more money and stuff like that. But except what they do is they actually listen. Like, I mean, imagine if they did that. Like, imagine if they actually gathered the money and shit and actually listened. But honestly, I think, I'm really just excited to play an arcade shooter again that doesn't have, so much bullshit in it, and that's going to play well, and that's going to be rewarding for the player to play in many different ways. And just like every other shooter that I first started playing, I always struggle, even with COD. Yeah, Psycho says you can't wait to play it. Yeah, and even the last gen consoles are going to get love. I don't, maybe not at launch, but post launch, the last gen consoles are going to be great. And then 6 weeks after launch, guess what? We're going to get like the progression system and everything else. So, dude, I'm excited, man. I have not been this excited for a shooter in a while. I just want to enjoy a shooter without it being so annoying. Yeah, I think the majority of us are on the same team when it comes to that, bud. I think the majority of us are very much on the same team. We all want, that's what we want ultimately at the end of the day. We don't want it to be annoying. And you know what? Let me tell you something. As a person who really remembers what it was like to be super casual, like when I first started playing shooters, right? First person shooters, I never liked games being annoying either. I don't, regardless of your skill level, I don't think anybody likes anything that's annoying. At the end of the day, we all want something to be fun. We all want it to be enjoyable and rewarding and addictive, right? We want it to be addictive. One of the reasons why you come back to play a game is because how it feels, right? That's one of the reasons why I come back to play Halo Infinite, to be honest with you, with the battle rifle. I don't like the fact that PS4 never got an open beta to play it. Yeah, PS4 and Xbox One, the last gen consoles didn't have an open beta, no. They just couldn't get it all out. They had to focus priority on the current gen stuff. But honestly though, it actually made sense, because the first closed beta had a limit of only 60 frames per second. So because it had a limit of 60 frames per second, what ended up happening was, if you think about it, they kind of got data from their limits of 60 frames per second. So they would kind of know what to do with those consoles, right? Especially since the technology is easier. So I would say that closed beta helped out a lot um, in terms of what we got. So, but yeah, the open beta though was incredible. Like my personal experience with the closed beta, and because of their old netcode and shit, wasn't very good. But the open beta though, on the other hand, was a much smoother experience, especially since we got 120 frames. So, and the game looks clean. Yeah, you're right, Austin. It looks clean. It looked great, but it looks clean though. That's another thing. And I like the colors too. I like the colors. The colors are pretty damn cool. Now, I don't want. It's not bland at all. Um, it's not a bland game whatsoever. I'm glad that it looks the way it looks. And we're going to be having factions, extra maps. Um, and this is another thing that I want to know in the chat. And please let me know. Please be honest with me in this, okay? Do you think that it's a mistake that XDefiant is not releasing with Team Deathmatch? It pops, and I like how it mixes up games. Okay, it's weird that they had to get COD Pros to tune the game. In my opinion, they shouldn't have gotten players who played Ubisoft. They should have gotten players who played Ubisoft games. Yeah, but the thing is, XDefiant is an arcade shooter, which is basically what COD is. You know, a lot of Ubisoft games are not arcade shooters, though. That's the thing. So, you see what I mean on that? So, Austin says no. He thinks it's not a mistake that it's not releasing with Team Deathmatch. Okay. It is the most popular game mode in pretty much every first-person shooter, though. You know, we can't forget about that. So, or do you think it's not a mistake because of the hot shot game mode? They might add TDM later on. Oh yeah, there's no doubt they're going to add TDM. I can guarantee you this: they're going to add TDM. They're going to add in a bare bones, and they're going to add in a search and destroy and a free for all. I am just aching for a free for all. I can feel it between my legs, man. I want a free for all in that game so bad. TDM is in every game practically, and TDM can come later, but should lock on now. It's built, but I do suggest. Okay, all right. Possible that maybe the community might have changed, and they may not care that much about TDM like they used to. But I don't know, man. With Halo, the community in Halo made a big deal out of it. You know, it's like you got to have Slayer at launch, and they didn't. They didn't get it for 3 weeks later. But granted, that's not exactly why Halo Infinite ended up dying. So Halo Infinite, well, it's not dead, but Halo Infinite's population died down because of the lack of content on launch. And not only that, and well, not just launch, but like post launch, there was like, we didn't get like a big content drop for like 9 months later. So it's like, oh no. Some people are even saying that 3 months per season is pushing it. So I don't know. I guess it just depends on who you talk to. But for the most part, you know, a 9 month season is obviously not a good thing. I'd say 3 months is fine. It's the sweet spot. It gives the developers plenty of time, and at the same time, again, 3 months, not too bad. But is there anything that you guys want on your wish list specifically for XDefiant? Like, is there anything that you specifically would love to see the most, like that want the most? Because, like I mentioned, pretty much in every other video as well, is that everybody's got their own wants and needs for first-person shooters. So, what is your, what is your thing? Like, what is your XDefiant wish list? Like, if Mark Rubin was in front of you and said, "Hey, anything you want in the game that's reasonable, I'll put it in." Like, what would you want? A ground war like game mode? Ooh, I like that. I haven't thought about that in a while, actually. You know who actually mentioned that in one of their videos? Excalizors. He did a what's it called? He did a from the desk of Excal. He did, it's a little series he does every so often, and he was saying that it'd be really cool if you can have like a 10v10 or a 12v12 or something like that. And I wholeheartedly agree with him. Not just because I'm a fan of his, but I agree with him. Just like I agree with you. A ground war type of game mode would be awesome. Ground mode, like my favorite game mode. Yeah, you probably, you know what? If ground war is your favorite game mode, then you are probably, I'm guessing you're an OG COD player. Like back during the days when, during Black Ops 1, during those times when you had your ground war of 9v9. It pretty much sounds like you're an OG COD player. unless you're referring to Modern Warfare 2019's Ground War, which is different. So maybe something like Battlefield 2042. It's underrated, like a quick attachment changer or something like that. Okay, I see where you're going there. Not having the game feel like COD with pay to win DLC skins. Yeah. Um. Well, Psycho Killer Clown, I got good news for you, my friend. All of the stuff is going to be cosmetic. All that kind of stuff, like the battle pass stuff and shit like that. It's all going to be cosmetic. There's not going to be anything pay to win. The developers have already pretty much confirmed that. Yeah, yeah. It's nothing pay to win. Oh, and another rumor is I'm not well. Another leak is saying that one of the first DLC weapons that we're all going to get, of course, within every season, the first weapon that's going to come out is the G36C. You remember this G36C? You remember the G36C from Modern Warfare 3? You remember that gun? That was a great assault rifle, wasn't it? So let's see. Battle Pass needs to go and bring back the old way of DLC. Yeah, I mean, well, actually, they're actually here's the interesting thing, Psycho Killer Clown. Um, they're bringing back. They're literally doing the old way of COD DLC. We're getting every 3 months. We're getting a new season, and in that season, we're getting 3 maps. So we're getting basically 1 map per month. We're going to be getting 3 weapons, additional game modes, and a 90 tier battle pass, and a couple of other things. And again, the battle pass again is all cosmetic, and we're getting that every 3 months. We're basically getting the old school Black Ops 2 type of formula. For instance, with like the way they did their DLC, with like 3 maps or something like that, and then additional weapons and shit like that. You're getting that with the seasons. So we're actually kind of getting a little bit of both at the same time. You're getting back the old school DLC shit, and then you're also getting non-cosmetic items for the battle pass. But I mean, let's put it this way. I will say this, and I'll say this on stream now. If they do everything the way we want them to do, like if they're literally going to follow through on everything that they've been doing so far, let me tell you, this will be the first game that I buy the battle pass for. And not only will I do that, but I will buy additional codes depending on whatever console you guys are on, and I'm going to give them away. I'm gonna have like a fun game or something like that we can play on here, right, on stream or something like that. And or who knows, we can even do a custom match, and whoever ends up getting the most points in a certain number of custom matches or something like that can can be like what's it called, can basically get a chance to win one of the one of the cards that I buy, and I just give it away. And it's all you have to do is follow on Twitter, and then I'll tweet it out to you if you win. And with that, with that $10 worth of credit or whatnot, you can buy the battle pass to support the devs. I will support the devs if they do what they do. I will support the devs. I am telling you, to show them my appreciation. And if they have specific codes for that, it's like shit. I'll buy a bunch of codes, and I'll give them away to you guys that tune in on stream. I kid you not, just to support them. Yeah, man. The Ubisoft devs so far, dude, I'm shocked. I'm surprised. Mark Rubin even went on Twitter earlier today or yesterday, and he didn't even have to do it. And he just basically gave us like a very small update. And he's basically like, we're on track. We're at a part right now where it's going to take a little bit of time in order to get through this part right here, but we're still on track to release at the end of summer. I mean, and he also was talking about how it's going to be on which consoles it was going to be on, and on PC as well. So the guy is even talking when he doesn't have to, so. And one other thing about Mark Rubin, he's one of us. The guy actually plays his game, and he's actually good at these games. He's one of us. It's very different. You know what I mean? When you're a gamer yourself, or when you play these types of games, very different. It's kind of hard to be to be a person that's the major boss in the food industry when you've never cooked anything in your life. You know what I mean? So this guy's cooked. Let's see, but a good game that I bet Ubisoft should come out with, like a zombies COD, like almost like Forever Better. Always love Ubisoft games. Yeah. Oh, speaking of Ubisoft games, guys, obviously you two are Ubisoft fans, right? So the DLC maps are going to be based off of different Ubisoft games. Like they're going to take us to like different Ubisoft worlds within the Ubisoft universe. So again, don't be surprised if you don't see some Rainbow Six Siege in there. So I mean, in terms of the maps or in terms of, you know, maybe even factions as well. Oh, that's another thing I forgot to mention. There's going to be a new faction released for every season as well. So they're not done with that yet either. So and by the time the game is, I mean, I never got into Rainbow. Even my viewers were basically saying, "Hey, try Rainbow Six Siege," and I'm like, "Guys, you don't understand. I'm not that type of player. I don't play first person shooters like that. That's not my, you know, I don't play tactical shooters. I play arena or arcade shooters. That's it. I don't play tactical first person shooters." So, um, oh yeah, it's a very competitive game. It's very competitive. Absolutely, absolutely. You know, but for a lot of people, it's what, you know, it's what floats their boat. Competitive gaming at this point is at a whole other level at this point. It's on a whole other level compared to where it used to be. Um, I don't play it so much because it's so slow. Yeah, that's another thing. I mean, people have reasons to play and to not play. I play Division 2 and sometimes Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Yeah, I mean, uh, seriously, like they're going places with these games, man. They're going places. I'm not kidding. These guys are absolutely, and thank you for the likes, guys, in the chat. I really appreciate it. But they're gonna go to all the different worlds. Like they're gonna give us maps that are based off of the different worlds of the Ubisoft games. So owning an esport is a failing industry right now. Really? So they're not getting the bang for their buck because they're paying the players too much and it costs $25 million per team. Is that why? Like I wonder. You just raised something very interesting. You're reminding me of something, Austin. Um, do you think um, do you think that XDefiant is going to enter like the professional gaming scene differently than what these other guys are doing? Because it seems like every other sports team, esports team, is basically doing the same shit, right? Like the CDL is doing the same thing, the HCS is doing the same thing. So it's like, is XDefiant just going to do something completely different? And would that even work? But maybe I don't see it being like a CS:GO. I don't know. See, all I know is that that game's been around for a long time, man. CS:GO has been around forever. That game's been around forever. And Valorant is actually pretty brilliant too. You know, got to give credit where it's due, man. Valorant is actually pretty brilliant, especially with their anti-cheat. Speaking of anti-cheat, XDefiant really needs to have a good anti-cheat. One of the sweatiest game. Yes, it is. If the game becomes an esport, more sweaty lobbies, less fun for sure. Well, they already have. They're gonna have a ranked game. They're gonna have a ranked playlist at launch. XDefiant's having a ranked playlist at launch. So if anybody wants to sweat, they can go to ranked. So, I mean, let's not forget about the fact that a lot of players are just familiar with arcade shooters now, thanks to COD, or at least what COD was. And then there's also the what's it called, the content creators. Um, a lot of content creators, whether you like to admit it or not, a lot of content creators actually ended up inspiring players to sweat because of the content and all that other shit. The content they would make, as well as the fact that, well, you know, esports and gaming and stuff like that and MLG has become more popular than ever. People want to be professional players now. A lot of people want to be professional players or content creators. So that kind of influence is really, really powerful. So, and it's definitely, and you're right, it's definitely a gift from God that we're going to get a ranked play on launch. So if somebody wants to sweat, they want to play, you know, what the pros are going to play or whatever, it's like, there you go. And ranked at launch is something we don't see in every single game these days. Like it's either delayed or missing or whatever, but we don't see it very often. So, and they tested it in the closed beta, so um so we're definitely getting it. So no worries there. You don't have to worry about that aspect. People have a place to go if they want to sweat. Modern Warfare 2 came out like 3 months later. Really? Ranked came out 3 months later. Yeah, Infinity Ward has never really been a supporter of ranked play, at least compared to Treyarch. That's insane. 3 months after launch? That's... Man, if I was a pro player, I'd be pissed. We all hope the weapons don't get nerfed. Oh yeah, the philosophy of how they handle weapons. Like in other words, you think that they, instead of nerfing one weapon that's overpowered, they should just buff the other ones for it to be even. I'm assuming. I'm assuming that that's what you're talking about. Yeah, I mean, the ACR for me, in terms of the beta, stood out. I didn't use SMGs too much, but the ACR in terms of assault rifles is what stood out for me. But at the same time, it could have been. It also could have been the inconsistencies of the connection, because it was still a beta and shit. Because even though it was way better than the closed beta, it was still, not where it needs to be. So for me, the ACR felt like it was the assault rifle that was more powerful. For me, the AK was too weak. It took too many bullets to kill. Really? The time to kill is too fast? I think it's comparable to Black Ops 4. But also depends on what weapon you're using. What do you think? Are you suggesting that they increase the health to like 200? Uh-huh. Okay. Well, that's the thing. In When it comes to pubs, they can't have a time to kill that's way too slow either. There's a fine line they have to walk. I know like players like you and me won't mind it, but casuals will. All weapons should be balanced. Each map is different. Like one map, snipers long. Yep. Speaking of which, you know what I think they're gonna do for game modes? I think they're finally gonna give snipers their own game mode. I'm calling it now. In Call of Duty, thank you for the likes, by the way. In Call of Duty, ever since before Modern Warfare 3, the original Modern Warfare 3, by the way, players have been wanting snipers to have their own playlist, like, or their own game mode, and it's never happened. Outside of custom games, it's never happened. So I think XDefiant's going to do that. I think XDefiant is going to do that. I think they're finally going to give snipers their own playlist, like, because quick scoping is in the game. So it's like, you guys want to, see who the best scoper is and shit? We'll give you guys, I mean, we'll give you guys your own map and shit. Go out there and do it. Like, give them their own game mode. Like, I think a lot of snipers will be very happy with that. What do you think? Yeah. I think snipers will be very happy. I know Pramaj is going to be soiling his pants if that happens. Pramaj will go nuts. Quickscopers wreck casual experience for casual players. Well, quickscopers are also casual, believe it or not. There's a lot of casual players that love to quickscope. I saw a lot of them in Black Ops 2, trust me. Trust me. But I think in this game, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, if they have their own game mode, then guess what? You're going to see less of them in regular matches. Will we get some more movement? Probably not. No, because there's already some advanced movement within the movement, and they didn't change it at all from closed beta to open beta. You know, at least they say they didn't. So it might have been something to do with the netcode of why it might have felt different from closed to open beta, but no. Full weapon list? Well, the weapons that we got in the beta are what we're going to get at launch. We're not getting anything additional because I counted the weapons, and it's 24. The sidearms, the assault rifles, the submachine guns. Everything that was in beta is what we're getting at launch. Slide canceling. I don't think they're gonna. I don't think so. We'll see, but I don't know. You hope the P90's in the game. There's a gun that's like the P90 in the game. That was in the. It was in the beta, so. Yeah, I mean, you know, when you got pros as well that can break that game, and it's like, you know, I think Shotzi figured some shit out when he played a little bit of it. And Shotzi, man, that kid, that young man is just so talented. So I don't think we'll get anything movement wise apart from what we've gotten already. I don't think we're getting anything more. So and if they do add anything, I'm pretty sure it's going to be subtle. I don't think it's going to be anything like so major that, you know. Movement shooters are fun though. Oh, absolutely, they're fun. Yeah, they are. But we've seen where Call of Duty's gone with that. There's a reason why we're back to boots on the ground. So, and I love movement shooters too, man. Trust me. Trust me. But another plus is that they're going to have engagement up. I'm sorry, input-based matchmaking. What that means is, like, if you want to just play against other controller players, you could do that. If you just want to play against other mouse and keyboard players, you can do that. So they'll give you two options. They'll give you the option of whether you want to play to have crossplay on or off, and then they give you another option of what input you want. So I hate to ruin your party there, Austin, but Titanfall 3 was about 10 months in development, and they stopped after 10 months to make it into Apex Legends. So you know. Sorry. But yeah, no, I'm always gonna back Titanfall. So hey, Corny Puddles here. Yeah, no, I miss Titanfall just like you guys. Trust me. Titanfall 3 is, you know, Titanfall 3 is like the killer instinct of shooters at this point. You know, people have been wanting Killer Instinct to come back because it hasn't been supported since 2017, and it was popular enough, and it ended up being one of the most amazing fighting games ever created. And people are calling for it, but nothing's been happening. Microsoft hasn't announced anything. It hasn't even been talked about. Nothing even leaked or anything like that. And it's like, what the fuck? So, but yeah, Titanfall is the killer instinct of shooters at this point, which is sad because Titanfall is a great game. I mean, they could always make a Titanfall 3. Yeah, I mean, I would love for it to be, you know, let's put it this way: if Apex Legends starts to go dry anytime soon, then, you know, probably end up getting a Titanfall 3. Yeah, no, Killer Instinct was a gem. You know, I grew up playing the original Killer Instinct, so when it was announced in 2013, like I nearly shit my pants when they announced that. Like I couldn't believe it. So, and I was happy. So, still play Titanfall 2? Yeah, man. I own the game myself. I mean, I haven't played it, but yeah, Titanfall 2 just did so many things right, man. So many things right. And if you know how to bunny hop in that game or bunny slide or whatever the hell it's called, holy shit, you are it's a game changer for you. I kind of wish that the Titan gameplay was like Halo. You know, obviously the pilot gameplay is like COD but with advanced movement and shit, which is fine. But I wish I wish the Titan gameplay was like Halo. Huh. What's my take on Mortal Kombat 1? I think in some ways it's absolutely brilliant what they're doing in terms of the characters. Like with the way the cameo characters are. Wall running should be in Apex and then you'll play more. That's gonna be that is interesting. I don't know if everybody agrees with you on that, but I see where you're going with it. Um, but yeah, I've like let's break it down. Psycho Killer Clown. Like what? Be a little bit more specific in terms of what my take is. Like, are we talking about the gameplay? Are we talking about the story? What are we talking about specifically in terms of MK1? Because that game is huge. That game's got like so many pieces to it. It's huge. So I what specific part would you like to talk about? Because it's a huge game. We're talking about the story, so what are we talking about specifically? Because I'm a Mortal Kombat fan, so even when I'm not playing it, I'm still a Mortal Kombat fan. Graphics wise, I think it's one of the prettiest fighting games ever made. Graphics wise, it's gorgeous. It is gorgeous. It's a beautiful looking game. And especially if you got a nice PC to run that sucker. You know, if you got a decent PC with some good specs, you can get you can get some really good graphics on that. But even if you don't, you're gonna get a damn good looking fighting game. We've come such a long way in Mortal Kombat, and NetherRealm actually has always made it uh, a point um, to make their fighting games look so good every time. Like even during the back, like when you look at MK1 and then MK2, and then from MK2 to MK3, and then absolutely amazing. From MK4 to Deadly Alliance, from Deadly Alliance to Deception, from Deception to MK9, and I really like Street Fighter. Usually, a casual when it comes to fighters. Hey man, if you enjoy casuals, that's all that matters. Like if you enjoy fighters, that's all that matters. Like it doesn't matter whether you're a casual or not. You know, there's nothing in the rule book, the invisible rule book, that says that you need to sweat everything or that you need to. Ultimately, all you need to do is just enjoy it. If you enjoy the game, that's all you need. Any opinions on Exoprimal? I need to look that game up actually because I don't remember Exoprimal to be honest. What's Exoprimal? Let's now you got me wanting to look it up. So I'm actually on Wikipedia right now. And Gotham City Imposters was what I looked up in Wikipedia, by the way. Let's see. So, upcoming 2023 video game. It's an upcoming third-person shooter. Okay. Developed and published by Capcom. Okay, that's a plus. A multiplayer action game in which the player must fight against massive hordes of dinosaurs and mutated prehistoric creatures. The game is scheduled for release on July 14th of 2023 for the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Windows, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S. Okay, so it's basically like it's a horde mode game for the most part, and it's a third-person shooter. Okay. So um I you know I mean as far as multiplayer shooters, I'm not a big fan of third person, but like if they're single player, that's a little bit different, or if it's like a horde mode, it's a little bit different because I am a fan of Gears. I like Gears of War. At least when I played it, I did. Um, and I really like the horde mode in Gears of War, and game modes like firefight, horde mode, and zombies are always kind of popular within the community, and people will always have a reason to play them. But I like the concept though with the dinosaurs and shit. uh, yeah, yeah, it's kind of like as soon as I saw dinosaur, the first thing that came to my mind was Turok. First thing that came to mind was Turok. As soon as I read dinosaurs, I'm like, okay, Turok. Horny Puddle says, Worried Primal will float off like the other Dino game that came out on Game Pass a few years ago. Well, the thing is, ultimately, optimistically speaking, Puddle, you can't really underestimate like any game at all. Because you never know what could happen. Some of these games might be a huge hit. You really can't underestimate any game. So all you can do is hope for the best. So creators of MK should buy Killer Instinct. Well, they don't own the rights, but that would be interesting. I remember when I had a different Twitter handle the first time I created Twitter, and I actually tweeted at Ed Boon, and he responded. I said, "Hey, is there any chance that we're going to see Mortal Kombat versus Killer Instinct anytime soon?" And he responded with, "We don't own the rights to KI." So let's see. It's true. I hope it does well. Capcom is king. Yeah, Capcom has come back from the drought that it had. And I'm a fan of Devil May Cry. Street Fighter 2 was the first fighting game I ever played. Capcom is really good at what they do. When they're on point, Capcom is incredible. Also, what about Starfield? It's going to be on Xbox exclusive, and maybe Xbox and have better exclusives. Okay, it's going to be on Xbox and PC, not just on Xbox. So it's a Microsoft exclusive, yes. And it's going to release at 30 frames per second. But apparently the game is going to look pretty, but it's incredibly ambitious. Like games like this don't get made, but at the same time, there's a lot of worry right now that Starfield is going to release fucked up. Like, that's the big worry right now, is that the game is so ambitious and shit that it's going to release, like, really messed up. Like, with a shit ton of bugs and stuff like that. Like, I've heard content creators basically say, and I'm paraphrasing here, that, like, if 70% of the game, if you could do 70% of what that game, designed, then that's a success, because the game is too huge. It's, I don't know, man. I'm hoping it has a smooth ass launch, but I don't know. Microsoft owns Rare, so they need to make a new Donkey Kong game. Yeah, that'd be nice. That would be nice. But I think the last Donkey Kong games actually came out for Nintendo, so I don't know. I don't know if they can. They own Rare, but I don't think they own the rights to Donkey Kong. Rare just used to develop Donkey Kong games, but I don't think Rare develops those anymore. So, and they don't own the rights to Donkey Kong, so I don't think they can. You get it free, so you don't care. Yeah, of course, because we got Game Pass, so we don't care that much. But ultimately, though, I mean, when a game comes out, you want that game to release as pretty as possible, man. You want that game to release as smooth as possible. I don't want Starfield to, for the gamer's sake as well. I don't want Starfield to release, like a big ass mess. And that's not going to be good for Microsoft either. Conker's Bad Fur Day remake or remaster, imagine, would be amazing from Rare. Yeah, that would be amazing, wouldn't it? That would be amazing. I think they got Conker's Bad Fur Day on Game Pass, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, I know they have Banjo-Kazooie on there. But yeah, no, there's a lot of things that Microsoft could do. Seriously, there's a shit ton of things that Microsoft can do. All they need to do is get their act together. Once they do that, and once they gain some momentum, there's some stuff they can do. And let's not mention the fact that these guys have money, and I know it's not everything, but it's a whole lot. Like, money talks, man. I mean, these guys can afford, like, they were going to try, if they couldn't get Activision Blizzard, they were going to try to buy so many other companies. It was ridiculous. Like, these guys can afford many different companies. Like, they considered buying everybody. So, but yeah, man, gamers of our age, man, we run on nostalgia. Nostalgia is everything to us. We love nostalgia. We love it. I still want a Spyro 4. I'm telling you. I want a Spyro the Dragon 4. And I'm alone in this. Or at least I feel alone in this. And a lot of fans have been calling for a Banjo Kazooie remaster or something like that. So, you know, I mean, I own the Reignited trilogy for a very specific reason. And that's because I grew up playing those games. Well, I didn't play the third one, so I just got more bang for my buck over there. So, I mean, if you're around, if you grew up in the same era of gaming that I did, it's very easy to understand why Spyro is what it is, why we like Spyro, despite the fact that it's a very basic type of platformer. Oh yeah, Spyro definitely holds a good space in our childhood, man. I was like 14 years old when I first played Spyro. I was like 14, 15 years old when I first played that game. And one of the things I always loved about it was, like, what's it called? The colors. Colors were excellent. And platformers ruled the world back then. Let's see. We need a full Crisis redo. Oh yeah, I remember Crisis. Yeah, and we need to update the speed and everything. Yeah. Yeah. Update the frame rate, update the speed. Wouldn't mind seeing a new Crisis. Any first person shooter that encourages movement, I'm all about it. I just want to say that right off the bat. If there's a first person shooter out there, or first person shooters out there that encourage movement, by all means, I'm all about it. You can't not have me be all over that game. You know what I mean? I'm all about it. So, but you know what? As an OG gamer, so to speak, right? I'm actually really curious of what Nintendo's gonna do. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm very curious as to what Nintendo's got up its sleeve. Like, what are they gonna do for their next console? They've already, we've already got more Mario coming. We got Zelda that just released again, and they have yet to make another Donkey Kong. So what about Metroid Prime 4? It's always interesting in terms of what Nintendo's gonna do. Like, out of all the consoles, they feel the most console-y to me, if you ask me. And my ass needs to just, I don't know. I mean, I already have so much to play, but off topic. But do you think what did you think of Splitgate? Are you looking forward to their next game? Ooh, I forgot about that. Yeah. I like Splitgate, but I also think, and I might be alone in this, but I also think that the Portal gameplay of it ended up being annoying. I like Splitgate. I like how it mixed Halo and COD together, and it was a lot of fun. But at the same time, it just the Portal aspect of the gameplay was a little annoying, and it was I don't know. It could have used a little bit more meat on the bone. But other than that, it was a brilliant game. It's going to be like an Xbox One, PS4, so COD's coming to Nintendo next console. If Microsoft acquires Activision Blizzard, yes. Oh, you think? Oh, wait a minute. So you think the next Nintendo console is going to be like the PS4? So COD, okay. It is annoying, but I like that it was different, even though I didn't actually like the Portal play. No, I mean, that's the thing. A lot of players like that something different. That's why they were willing to try it. So Nintendo should bring out a console enough of the Switch. Oh, it's confirmed, really? What's confirmed? It's confirmed that that Microsoft acquired them and they won, or is it confirmed of what Nintendo is doing next? The console part? Okay. Well, the Switch is about as powerful as PS4 and Xbox One. So why would they rinse and repeat instead of making something more powerful? It doesn't need to be as powerful as the stuff that Microsoft and Sony are doing, but it doesn't. I mean, I don't see why it needs to do that. But strong feeling Microsoft is gonna win it. Not really. I don't know. I mean, I personally think Microsoft will win it because the trial recently really showed up a lot. Really showed a lot of things. They really showed a lot of things with the trials, with this recent trial. It could go either way, but for the most part, it's looking really good for Microsoft. But games aside, I hope like for the sake of the workers that work for Activision, I hope Microsoft wins. They're going to be in a much better work environment. There's no doubt about that. And when you have a better work environment, you get better games. It's that simple. If the work environment's bad, of course the game's going to be bad. I mean, I really don't need to say more about that. So, and then our boy Bobby is not going to is most likely not going to be with, you know, he's going to be gone. He's going to be gone and retired after that probably, or doing something else, or buying an island somewhere, something. Really, the Switch isn't as powerful as the PS4? Okay. They're going to have some kind of gimmick. There's something that it's going to be able to do that the other consoles won't. You know, like the Switch, for instance, you can take it with you anywhere. But I don't know. They're gonna have some sort of gimmick. More PS3 like? No, the Switch is like a PS3? Really? But that's like so by power, but that's like so dated though. That's incredibly dated. Which obviously goes to show you just how brilliant Nintendo is, by the way. They don't rely on power, they rely on game quality and their franchises. So I want Metroid Prime 4, man. I want to see what that game's going to look like. Fans have been wanting Metroid Prime 4 for like ever. Handhelds are hard to make, super powerful. No, that's true. That is definitely very true. Unless you make it pricey. Unless you make it pricey. This is why PCs are more powerful than laptops. To put it frankly. So, that's what I think. If they're going to run COD, it's going to take power, ROG Alley. I'm thinking for a second. Metroid 4, I feel, is going to be done. It isn't been done for years, and they're saving it for a rainy day. Corny Puddle, as much as I would love to think that that's true, I don't think so, because if these guys know that they've got a banger on their hands, they want to sell that shit. They want to make their money. At the end of the day, my friend, it's a business, you know, and Nintendo's got plenty of things coming as it is, one way or another. So I don't think so. I think it's just that the Metroid Prime 4 has either been in development hell, or they're doing something so ambitious that it just is taking them a shit ton of time to finish it. Or at least a shit ton of time in order to present it. Because we haven't really been presented anything with Metroid Prime 4 since it was announced. So I don't know. I really do not know. You don't really save Metroid Prime 4 for a rainy day, in my opinion. I don't. I Austin, I want to agree with you, but at the same time, remember Nintendo is a business too. I like. Let's put it this way. I will say this though. They definitely seem to have held on to their integrity. Like, games are still made with a passion, for instance, right? So that's one thing that I like. They've at least kept some of their integrity, you know, and they haven't like sold out, so to speak, as much or anything like that. So they care about the quality of their games. There's no doubt about it, and they haven't sold out. So I will say, I certainly agree on that. But remember, they're still a business, and they still want to make as much money as possible. That's just a fact. You know, I hate that fact, just like probably all of you guys do, but it is a fact, and these guys want to make money too. You know, like for instance, you know that they saw that their competition was increasing the prices to $70 per game, and then wham bam, for Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, guess what? It costs $70. Every game used to cost 60 before then, but then now they know they're doing it because they know they can get away with it. You know what I mean? Don't forget that though. You know, don't forget that. I mean, all these companies, they want to look like the good guys, of course, no doubt about it. But at the same time, it's like you got to remember that these guys are businessmen, you know. So, true. But I think about PS5 soon. You're going to buy a disc drive expansion because they're going to stop selling discs. PS5. Yeah, I mean, I've pretty much gone digital at this point. I don't. There's no reason to buy the discs anymore either, because you still have to install them, just like you would, you know, automatically. So you're kind of just wasting time by buying the physical copy. The dated hardware, that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Yeah, yeah. So, yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, guys, just remember, whichever company you prefer, or whichever one looks better or whatnot, or which one has a cleaner image, you got to remember that they're a business, and they're in it to make money. Trust me, they're in it to make money, and that is the priority. Some of the businesses have more integrity, but making that profit, making that cheddar will always be number one. So if they know they can get away with something, they're going to do it. That's why they on old ass hardware, right? $70 a pop for a game like that, it doesn't really justify the price. Now, are the games a high quality? Yes, from a gameplay standpoint, but uh, from a production value, probably not, because it's on older hardware. If these guys had newer hardware that they needed to get used to with and stuff like that, that's different. So I don't really like digital, only because you can cheaper disc more of the time. Yeah. I mean, again, I grew up on physical discs, so I understand their value and stuff like that. And I was late to the digital thing, but ultimately now at this point, I mean, everything's just gone digital. But that's what they're doing, though. They're not giving you a special, like, it's not like you can just put the disc in and you start playing right away, because it's all on the disc. It's like you got to download and install it, which was not always the case back in the day, but now it is. So it's like, what's the point of buying digital other than, just to see the physical copy there? What's the point of buying digital? Like, if you can't get any sort of advancement from it. But yeah, there's a lot of things that they do for no reason, like the Xbox 360 dashboard. You guys remember that dashboard? Remember how amazing that was? I mean, remember that OG Xbox 360 dashboard? That thing was just awesome. So companies want physical to be gone. They love digital. It saves them more money. Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. It's all about the money, man. As you know, you know, it's all about the money. I think it's funny, we went from Halo to COD to XDefiant to MK to KI, then Starfield, Nintendo, and now business. Yeah, no, hey, that's the beauty of streams, right? And that's another reason why you always want to type in the title and more, because if people come to your chat and they want to ask a specific question, or if they want to talk about something specific, it's going to go, it might go off topic a little bit, and that's the beauty of the stream, and that's what I love about it. You kidding me? So, and all this stuff needs to be talked about. I mean, if we were all sitting on a big round table, this conversation would still be taking place. We'd still be talking about it. We'd still be wondering about it. We'd be talking about it. Like, if I was sitting at a round table with like my best friends, for instance, I'm pretty sure that the conversation would start somewhere and would lead into something else. So trust me. And it is funny, but it's also very true. So Vince McMahon, here comes the money, 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 money. Yeah, that's actually Shane's theme, actually. But yeah. Oh, what a character, Vince McMahon. Speaking of Vince McMahon, did any of you guys play any wrestling games growing up? Did you guys play any wrestling games growing up? I remember playing on the N64. I played WCW NWO World Tour. I played, what did I play? I played SmackDown on the original PlayStation, and then SmackDown 2 on the original PlayStation. Yeah, so those wrestling games were really cool back in the day. I haven't touched anything since, but they were cool back then. But I was also a much bigger wrestling fan back then. So, oh, you know who else Microsoft was considering buying? Sega. Sega. Uh, oh, you're funny. At this point, anything is available online nowadays. Go figure. But Oh man, the old wrestling days, man. Holy shit, man. Back during the Attitude Era, man, when they were going back at it back and forth, WCW and WWF, or well, it was known as WWF back then. Man, man, those were the days. I miss those days. A lot of good times. Like I hated Mondays because of school. You know, Mondays would be the most dreaded day of school. But you had wrestling to look forward to, right? You were either watching Raw or Nitro or both. So it's like that's funny, Austin. I love SmackDown too. Know your role. Yep, I'd run through the career mode with Jeff Hardy. Yeah, I was a fan of The Rock, so I usually picked him. But I'll tell you what, though, as uh, you got to give it to Ric Flair, man. Ric Flair was just a he was just a genius with the mic. His energy was through the roof. His sense of humor was up there. Like Ric Flair is one of the most legendary wrestlers ever, man. Ric Flair was hilarious. You know, Ric Flair was his promos, dude. You remember Ric Flair's promos? Holy shit. Holy shit. I'm having a hard time holding these alligators down. I I miss those days, man. I shit you not. At the time, I didn't know anyone. I just loved Jeff because his look, and let's see, and I started watching and loved Jeff for his talent. Yeah, Jeff was insanely talented, and what that man put his body through. Holy shit. I'm leaving, but I'll be here next stream, and don't worry, I sub. All right, brother. Thank you very much for the sub. I appreciate it, man. But yeah, enjoy your day or night wherever you're from, Austin, and you know, thank you very much for stopping by the stream. I really look forward to these conversations. I love these streams. You know, I think I'm going to do them every weekend to where, you know, I just come back from pool and we start talking and shooting the shit. And then you guys can stop by and we can really have some in-depth conversations about everything that we're about to get with gaming and everything else. So I appreciate your company, Austin. I appreciate it, man. So I'll catch you next stream, buddy. So Jeff is still wrestling. Holy shit. That just goes to show, man. Holy shit. That just goes to show how tough that man is. Like the impact of what, you know, the bumps and everything like that, especially with what Jeff does. Holy shit, man. That's insane. That's insane. Uh Corny, who are your who's on your Mount Rushmore of wrestlers? Who are your top 4 or top 5 or whatever favorite wrestlers of all time? Who do you think were the best? And it's very hard to choose 4, I know. It's very hard to choose 4. It's very hard because I'm thinking about it in my head, and then I start thinking about all these other wrestlers, and I'm like, you can't leave this guy out of the equation. You can't leave this guy out of the equation. So it's insane, bro. And then you also have to consider, like, not necessarily from a technical term, but like in terms of the amount of impact that they've had on business and on the business and shit like that. My favorite to watch back in the day, the Hardy Boys, Brock Lesnar, Rey Mysterio. Oh my gosh, Rey Mysterio is so fucking talented. Ray's talented. When I was a kid, I was excited to see him not be masked. But then when I grew up later on and once I understood what the mask meant, it pissed me off. It pissed me off because Ray would have never wanted his mask removed. So, so yeah, but Rey Mysterio is immensely talented. And a good person too. And a good person. I like Ray. So incredibly talented, man. Everybody liked Ray. There wasn't a single fan of wrestling that didn't like Ray. Kind of like back in the day, everybody liked Ultimo Dragon. Remember him? So, as far as the best with actual talent, The Rock is iconic. Rey Mysterio's top tier. Eddie before he passed was legend. Yes, Eddie Guerrero, man, that guy. Oh my gosh, he was hilarious. You know, he was actually a heavyweight that actually moved like a lightweight, like a cruiserweight. He actually back in WCW, he was a cruiserweight actually, from what I understand, and then he turned heavyweight in WWF or WWE. But yeah, Eddie was Eddie was another incredible talent. So it sucks that he passed, man. Because Eddie would have been, not only would have been he been in the Hall of Fame. Well, actually, he is in the Hall of Fame, but he would have. I would have loved to have seen him around to make a speech himself in the Hall of Fame. And I know Chris Benoit is hated for what he did, absolutely, yeah. But as a wrestler, he was. Oh my gosh, Chris Benoit. Chris Benoit was like right up there. I loved when Chris Benoit would wrestle Kurt Angle, because Kurt Angle is obviously a very technical wrestler with his gold medal experience and all that, with his with his experience from being an Olympic wrestler. But whenever he and Chris Benoit went at it, holy shit, it was really a sight to see. Like, you would see like the technicality for both of those guys. It was incredible. You know, from what he did aside, Chris Benoit is one of the best technical wrestlers, hands down. And I was very happy for him when he finally made the when he finally got the title. When he finally got the title, I was so happy for him. You know, because for a long ass time that man never got the title, but he was like the most deserving of it, and he worked very hard, and he had the talent and everything. It's like it was a big moment. Like, such a big moment. And Eddie Guerrero won that same night too. The night that Chris Benoit won his title, Eddie Guerrero won his. I really don't like the way the WWE does stories involving Eddie's passing. It's always felt disrespectful. Yeah, it's all in the name of business, man. That's all it is. Unfortunately, it's all in the name of business. But at the same time, the world of wrestling, again, I don't watch anymore. But if you were watching during the Attitude Era and when wrestling was in its true prime, it's obviously fallen quite a bit. And I don't even know half the wrestlers, if not hardly any of them actually. Um, but it is what it is. All the big names are gone now, especially ones that we grew up with. Shawn Michaels is retired. Stone Cold Steve Austin is retired. The Rock is pretty much retired. Um, Undertaker's retired. All these big names that we grew up with and watched they've moved on now. They've retired. So it's sad, but at the same time, I think we should be happy that we got what we got with them, because we got some of the best entertainment from those guys, man. Like, we really did. I mean, it was a different era, a different time, and it was really good, man. It was really good. It was so entertaining. I mean, despite the fact that you knew it was fake in terms of like how the storyline would end, it was like a soap opera, but at the same time, you just enjoyed watching it. Sports entertainment, man. So they they did it really well. It was basically like watching a TV show but live. That's all, and in the form of wrestling. So, uh, we had the Nitro eras during the late '90s, which were the best. Like in 1997, those were the best. And then we got Raw during the Attitude Era, along with SmackDown, and of course we had Thunder as well from the WCW side. So, and we've had great wrestlers, man. We've had Sting, we've had Hogan, we had Flair, we had the Steiner brothers, we had the Chris Jericho, we've had Triple H, we've had Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Undertaker, Mick Foley, also known as Mankind, obviously. I mean, the list goes on, man. And even before then, we had like Andre the Giant and a few others. I mean, if we had some of the best times in entertainment, all because of these guys that basically sacrificed their bodies for the sake of storytelling. So it's you know, Sting is my favorite old school dude, and the Ultimate Warrior. Yeah, I was so sad when that guy just died out of nowhere. So unexpected, man. But yeah, Sting is yeah. Um, I hate to say it, but uh, I hate to say it, but I don't think Sting should have come back to the WWE. You know, he should have trusted his gut feeling. I mean, he did. He didn't come back for a while, but he was offered and he kept on denying it. But I don't know, man. I don't know. But yeah, he's another one that I miss. I miss Sting quite a lot. Great guy. Oh, he came back. Oh, he's come back to AEW again, huh? So, and I guess he planned it too, because in his WWE Hall of Fame speech, he basically said, "Just so you know, this isn't goodbye. It's just see you later." So, I guess he was planning to come back to AEW after all. So, but yeah, he's way too smart. He's way too he's a legend. Steve Borden's a legend, dude. You know, there's not going to be another wrestler like Sting, just like there's not going to be another Stone Cold Steve Austin. We're never going to get another Triple H again. There's not going to be another Ric Flair again. There's like these guys were just so incredible. They were the first of their kind, really, and that's one of the reasons why they're so incredible as they are. They were the first of their kind, man. 100%. And of course, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson is another one. I mean, that guy on the mic was incredible. Chris Jericho is another one. You know, he was incredible on the mic as well. So, like, you know, like every single time The Rock got on the mic, you know you were going to get entertainment. Same thing with Chris Jericho, man. That guy was incredible on the mic as well. And he was another like technical wrestler. Of course, another one that I forgot to mention was Shawn Michaels. Oh, and of course, Bret Hart. You know, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels. Bret Hart was my dad's favorite wrestler, actually. Um, yeah, whenever they did stuff, it was always the best. Absolutely. And it was also good when Stone Cold and The Rock did stuff on the mic as well. You know, because those guys, you know, and I'm glad they did before Stone Cold retired. Because Stone Cold and The Rock never really did too many things on the mic like that together. But when they did, it was like, pff, it was so cool. But yeah, there will never be another time again like that. There will never be another Attitude Era again. You know, Monday Night Nitro back in the day. Shit. And I was a kid back then, so I was happy about it. I was like 15 years old when I started. You know, I was like 14, 15 years old when I started watching wrestling. And I wouldn't stop watching up until maybe either sometime after high school or before high school ended. I'm not sure. I don't remember exactly when I stopped. I just kind of stopped. But yeah, and the video games were good too, man. We got good video games for those back then too. And why is it going on intermission screen again? Oh yeah, that's right, because the video is in loop and we're on the intermission part again. I got it. I got it. Another couple minutes or so, the regular gameplay should be up. So, um, but damn, yeah, damn, you got me feeling all nostalgic with the wrestling, man. So, but actually, you know what? To be honest, I watched on and off between age 5 and 11, and then followed heavy from 12 to 17. Yeah, yeah, it's the childhood memories, man. There's never going to be anything like it again. That's the thing. Everything used to be even more enjoyable when we were younger. So, but anyway, man, you know what? I am gonna call it a stream because I've been streaming for nearly 2 hours. And on top of that, it is almost 5 a.m. in the morning. So I am going to attempt to kind of wind down. So, because I do have work tomorrow, but I don't have work on Sunday. Fingers crossed they don't call me in or something like that, which I don't think they will. I don't think they need to. So, so perhaps maybe tomorrow or, you know, Sunday morning, depending on how you look at it, perhaps I will do one more stream. And, you know, if there's anything specific you want me to cover on stream in terms of discussion, you can let me know. I'm always open to the discussion. And that's my favorite thing about streaming is I love having conversations with you guys. Hands down, my favorite thing by far. And I could talk all day. So, and maybe next time I'll get the webcam going so that way you guys can actually see who you're talking to, so that way it's a little bit more interactive. I think you guys will, I'm assuming you guys will like that even better, I think. So, and it's not like I'm sitting on a bad chair or anything like that. I'm actually kind of lying down. So it wouldn't be any big deal to get the webcam and shit like that. So, all right. Well, you got me on Twitter. So, you know, I tweet the stream, but hopefully you get notifications here. But I'll put my profile on here just in case, so that way you can see it. So let me see. Boom. And then one thing that's for sure though is the when XDefiant comes out, I'll be doing a lot of that. I'll be streaming a lot of that, but obviously also talking and interacting and shit. So you can certainly count on that happening. So, and I'm telling you, I can't wait for them to shadow drop it. I'm telling you, it's gonna be shadow dropped. All right, cool. I know that sometimes they don't work. That's why I kind of mentioned that, because sometimes the notifications don't work. So anyway, I got to get ready to wind down, or else I'm going to be up literally it's already in the morning, almost at 5 a.m., but I won't stop unless I put a break somewhere. So, but if I didn't have work tomorrow, I would probably keep going, but perhaps maybe tomorrow. So you can let me know if there's anything specific you want to talk about. But naturally, the conversation just flows. So when you come in and whatever's being talked about, it could naturally just change as if you were here. So that's the beauty about streaming, man. I love it. So anyway, thank you very much for tuning in. And to everybody else who left a like and who decided to tune in, I want to say thank you. I really, really appreciate it. It's always a pleasure being on here and streaming, especially when I get a chance to talk to you guys. So I'll catch you guys on the next stream and or video. And in case I don't stream, by any luck, if I don't stream, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. Have fun gaming or whatever it is that you enjoy doing. And I'll catch you guys later. Take care.